Welcome to So Zen Gadgets. Today we're covering two things. First, a features and sound battle between the Lypertek Soundfree S20 and the Enacfire Forte, a battle between a fairly pricey but well known for their sound quality earbud and an absolutely entry-level earbud that's on sale for a ridiculously low price of $10 right now on Amazon. By the time you watch this, I'm sure they'll be back up to their normal price of about $25 to $30, but still significantly cheaper than the $69 Lyperteks. So why these two buds? Because I feel that Enacfire's sound is never over bass boosted, and the Lypertek sound signature is one focused on the mids and clarity. And somehow I thought this just might be a very interesting battle based on that Enacfire lower cost sound signature and the Lypertek's well-known sound signature. I'll be bringing in a guest reviewer today too, so stick around to hear her impressions between these two earbuds. The second thing I want to talk about is I'm going to share with you the EQ app that I use and why I use an EQ app and why I generally prefer to use an EQ app over a specific manufacturer's application for just their one pair of buds. So stick around and let's see if the Lypertek are worth any extra hard-earned cash. Let's start with the feature comparison summary, and I am going to go through this as fast as I can. The case on the Lypertek is smaller and it charges wirelessly. It's very fifth pocket jean friendly, whereas the Enacfire's just isn't. Otherwise, both cases are fully functional USB-C charging. I would say just make sure on the Enacfire's that the buds are seated correctly before you close the lid, because that lid does not hold them securely in place. So if you tip them upside down in your bag or something, they could come unseated. Second, battery life. Now that also goes to the Lypertek's at 8 hours to 7 hours per charge, but that larger case on the Enacfire means fewer overall charges. In terms of comfort, both my guest and I find the lighter, less deep-fitting Enacfires more comfortable to wear on a daily basis or for a long period of time. Round 4, ambient mode. Now only the Lypertek has ambient mode. That's not a very good ambient mode, unfortunately. It's kind of a fixed volume that's both kind of low and just a little bit artificial. It's more like an implementation from like 2020 and not up to the performance of most of the other ambient mode buds that I have been experiencing in 2021. So on to round 5, codecs. Both of these support AAC and SBC. They both work well for movie watching. The Lypertek's are ever so slightly better. And by the way, I don't recommend either one of these buds for gaming. And if you switch to SBC mode on the Forte, they're just fine for watching movies. Round 6, mono mode, IPX rating and Bluetooth quality. Both of these earbuds have full mono mode, meaning you get full left and right audio from either bud when you're wearing either of them in independent mono mode. They both have equal and very strong Bluetooth range of over 75 feet by the way I measure it, but the Enacfire do have IPX8 to the Lypertek's IPX5. On to round 7, controls. Both of these earbuds have full control over all of the buds' features. Thumbs up for both of them here, including volume control and voice assistant. Now the Enacfire are touch controls, whereas the Lypertek have a really good physical button laid out in a smart position that makes pushing that physical button pain-free to your ear and actually really easy to do. Both are very good setups. Choose your poison, physical, buttons, or touch controls. Let's get to a stat that really matters for people, right? Max volume. Look, this is the category that I'm going to remind you again. I love to remind everybody that true wireless earbuds are too loud and not really safe to listen to at max volume. And I know you all usually respond with, yeah, whatever, which ones are louder? And the answer is, of course, the Lypertek's at 102 decibels. Now mind you, the Enacfire Forte come in at a still ridiculously loud 100 decibels, which is way more than anybody should be listening to music anyway. But in case you need it, that volume is there. So summarizing on their features, the Lypertek definitely have more features, but is it worth an extra 40 bucks? Hold that thought. Let's talk about their sound quality. So as I was saying in the intro, the Enacfire's sound is balanced. They have good bass, mids, and treble, while the Lypertek always boast huge mids and a lot of clarity. So let's compare these two using Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love and see how they compare. In this classic song, there is a huge soundstage, tons of movement of sound and effects across the soundstage. There are multiple instruments, there are echoes, and there are voices all over the place for earbuds to reproduce. It's a challenging song. On the Lyperteks, you'll notice how quickly they respond to movement within the soundstage, how detailed the sound is, and how much you can discern different instruments and where they're positioned in the soundstage, along with those effects and how they're moving across the soundstage. Vocals are well planted in center stage. Guitars and drums sound very realistic. Bass, for reference from other songs, is pretty good. It's not really boosted, just like in the Enacfire. Well, it's actually a little stronger in the Lyperteks than in the Enacfire Forte. But overall, that's a really good sound for under $100, especially if you like that extra boosted mids and clarity. Now let's compare that to the Forte. The Forte's soundstage is larger, which I believe is just an artifact of how the Enacfires don't fit as deeply into your ears as the Lyperteks. Bass is slightly lower. Discerning of different instruments on the soundstage is similarly good. However, the mids are not as strong or clear as in the Lyperteks. Vocals are still forward, they're just not as forward as on those Lyperteks. And the Lyperteks do have a slightly better reproduction of instrument sounds. I guess you could say they have slightly better timbre. I'll admit, right? They just do. But they can get a little bit too bright for my tastes. And I've epically said that on a lot of videos. So here's the thing. Like, why are so many earbuds tuned with a V or U-shaped sound? I mean, strong bass, strong highs, but not so much focus on the mids. Because that's what most people like, and that's what sells. For a case in point, let me introduce my Gen Z friend, Elle. Now, Elle loves music, she plays the piano, she sings, she dances, and she loves music among a lot of other things. Elle's a Gen Zer, so she's not much into Led Zeppelin. So here's Elle's take on the Enacfire Forte after already having listened to the Lyperteks on the song River by Bishop Briggs.
Oh yeah, these are way lighter. The sound is more around everywhere, you know? And everything seems much clearer in this one. I can hear her voice much more, but the bass is louder in the other one. After you boosted the bass on these, they sounded way better to me, because I really like the bass and the sound all around me.
All right, thanks, Elle. I think I know exactly what you're saying. So here's the second thing that I wanted to cover in this video, right? My favorite EQ app. So just like Elle mentioned, where we boosted the bass, I mean, in an EQ app, I use an EQ app, but I haven't investigated this EQ app much. I really don't know if its permissions are invasive or whatever. I just know that it works with any set of earbuds that I've used, and it works well. I have no issues with it, I just keep using it. And that I really appreciate having just one app that I can use to run the EQ on any earbud that I use, rather than like a different application from dozens of different manufacturers for all these earbuds that I own. It just works, so I continue to use it. Now, let's just take a look at how I tuned the Forte to get Elle to fully love these earbuds. And it's not really very complicated. I just popped open the app while she was listening to River with the Fortes on, and I turned on the EQ settings, and then I selected the bass boost preset. Voila! She loved them. Now, I probably could have tuned them even further using the built-in EQ tuning settings or manually adjusted the treble up, but she wasn't complaining about the mids or the highs on the Forte. She already liked them better than the Lypertek, so I just didn't bother. And that's the case in point I wanted to make. Like, why do bud manufacturers make and tune their buds with the V or U-shaped sound signatures? Most listeners don't care about those boosted mids and the extra clarity of the details. They prefer the bass, they want good vocals, they do want some clarity, and they want that big soundstage. Those are the things that just sound and wow you, right? If you're a normal user. I know there are some people out there who want to get into that more detailed and clarity around all the different instruments and whatever, but for the most part, most people just do not. And here's the thing, all of those you either get plenty of, or you can tune in for free via an app like Wavelet for significantly less money in buying the Forte over the Lyperteks. Now, I wouldn't argue with anybody who prefers that higher clarity, the more feature-laden S20s over the Forte, But if sound is your primary interest, decide whether you really want those boosted mids. Otherwise, I'm a value guy and I see greater value in the Forte at their current $10 price point and even their, MSRP of like 30 bucks than in the $69 S20s. So choose your champion and enjoy. Thanks for watching and see you next time.